strengthening the bonds of solidarity between all indigenous and diaspora ethnic groups of African descent. It's just about the concept is a movement. How do we bring together all indigenous diaspora of African descent together so that we can move Africa? We can change the narrative about Africa. This is our continent. Africa is our continent. So we can shape the narrative. We can shape the dynamics of how the world will view us. Sometimes we feel our leaders are not doing much. Our leaders are not doing much. What are we doing? Let us start from within. If I can change the narrative in Nigeria and someone in Cameroon is changing the narrative there, it might not be, we must start with the 50, change it within 50. Before it's 100, somebody has to do something. So I'm glad we are on this agenda. And I know that by the time we are done with this summit, everybody will begin to run with this agenda, will begin to sing this agenda, and begin to share it. So we now looked at agenda 2063. Yesterday, our speaker did a fantastic job. I must commend her. She looked at it holistically, and she also went to a sub team and also dealt decisively with it. I must commend her. So this is more like a recap. Sorry, this is more like a recap, but beyond what you are learning, I want the association to benefit from it, how we can implement it. So Agenda 2063 is aimed at repositioning Africa to becoming a dominant player in the global arena. This agenda came forth at the 50th anniversary solemn declaration of the formation of OAU or AU in May 2013. I now ask myself this question. This agenda was birthed in 2013, and we are in 2021. Many years have passed, yet many people do not know about this agenda. It means we are not doing much. Our countries are not doing much. Our heads of state, our presidents that went to this 50th anniversary, and all of them agreed to this, are not really spreading the message. So it was at this anniversary that this agenda was created, which marked the rededication of Africa towards the attainment of the Pan-African vision. So I always ask myself this question: what can I do to change the narrative in Africa? What can I do to not just be a legend? It's not about legendary, it's about impact. If each of us can run with just a message from this agenda, and we begin to go back to schools, go back to students, go back to our atmosphere, go back to our social media pages, and begin to preach this gospel, I believe that in this time, we will make much better impact. Now, we looked at the underlying reason for the agenda. Why this agenda? Why did this agenda come up? What was the intention behind the agenda? Where were we before the agenda? Why did we choose the agenda? And what are we doing to push the agenda? So I looked at the underlying reason. It is important to note that the agenda is a concrete manifestation of how the continent intends to achieve this vision within 50-year period. That is from 2013 to 2023. If we add, okay, now let's say 8 or 9 years has passed, has gone down the line. Now, if we add the remaining 40-something years, many of us will be in our 70s, many of us will be in our 80s. But does it mean that even by the end of that 50-year plan, that we are in our 80s, we are very old, we have exhausted our energy? Can we do something? I now ask myself, this is the time for us to even go back to those people that are 10 years old, 15 years, 20 years. Because by the time you add these years to their years, they would have had the energy to run with this race, to run with this agenda. So our message should cut across. Even people that were born today need to start hearing the message. Because if you add 40-something years that is remaining, which is the target plan, for this message to spread across Africa, for this message to come alive, if you add it to people that were born today, to tell you that by the time That means by the time they are 40 something, that will be the end of the 50-year period. So when we are spreading this message, we should spread it across anybody we see, because the plan, the 50-year plan, people think 50 years is a long time. It's not a long time. We're almost, well, 10 years is almost, going by. And yet the message, people do not know about the message. So the African leaders realized there was a need to refocus. They needed to reprioritize Africa's agenda beyond struggling for apartheid, beyond the colonialism, getting independence, beyond all those conflict issues, beyond all those agitations, beyond those referendums. We need to reprioritize. We need to refocus. We need to move. So that was where our leaders came together and say, yes, we have fought apartheid. People have the issue of independence. A lot of countries are independent. Can we refocus? Can we reprioritize? Can we move beyond these things that about us? Can we move to a better, bigger agenda that will affect our children, that will change the picture of Africa before the world? So that when Africans move anywhere, people say, there's something about these people. There's something about this. So our leaders got to that point that they needed to, move from where they used to be to the future. Agenda 2063 is the future. So that was the point our African leaders were when they came together and said, okay, this thing can happen. Let us do it. Also, part of the issues there were, part of those things that were discussed, or there was, the burning issues that led to this agenda of prioritizing inclusive social and economic development, continental integration. How do we integrate regionally, continentally? How do we integrate democratic governance? We see that many African countries are still in the realm of dictatorship. So they're looking at, can we really have true democratic governance, peace and security? You will know that these are core issues affecting African nations today. Tomorrow you have coup d'etat here, overthrowing here, fighting there, terrorism, insurgency. It is disturbing Africa. So this is where the point our leaders looked at and said, wow, we need to have an idea, a focus, a plan. It might not be an immediate plan. Let's give a 50-year plan to see if we can change the narrative, if there should be a new normal for Africa. Now, I also looked at the essence. Beyond the reasons, the essence of Agenda 2063. Then I wrote here, we must understand that the agenda is Africa's blueprint and master plan for transforming Africa into the global powerhouse of the future. How can Africa become the global powerhouse of the future? How can Alsa as an association help Africa come to that limelight of global relevance? How can Alsa as an association preach this gospel to the hearts of people that they will be able to grab it, internalize it, and begin to walk in that direction of transforming Africa? If 10 Africans are transformed, we are transforming Africa. If one person is transformed, Africa is transforming. We need to understand that the 3 people, the 5 people, the 10 people, the 50 people that hear this message are being transformed. And when they are being transformed, Africa is transforming. It might not be in the whole, it's in bits. And when the bits come together, it becomes a whole. So the transformation needs to start from me. It has to start from you. It has to start with that person in your house, beyond African Law Students. Yes, we are African Law Students Association, but this mission has to spread beyond us. So the agenda is the continent's strategic framework that aims to deliver on its goals for inclusive and sustainable development, which is a concrete manifestation of the Pan-African drive for unity, self-determination, freedom, progress, and collective prosperity that is being pursued under Pan-Africanism and Pan-African Renaissance. So this was the essence of the agenda. How do we drive for unity? How do we drive for self-determination? How do we drive for freedom? How do we drive to progress, collective prosperity? Can we make Africa a better place? That the world, even if the first world countries, second world countries can look up and say there's something we need to learn from Africa. It needs to start from us. It needs to start from us. It needs to start from us. Let's look within. This strive for unity. How can we unify that little organization we are managing? How can we unify those little group of people that are under our care? How do we look for progress? How do we drive progress? How do we move forward? I'm happy for this summit because it's a call for progress. It's a call for us to move forward. It's a call for us to move Africa to that global high. So I'm happy. I'm very happy for this summit. Now, the agenda too is very important as Africa needs to revise and adapt its development agenda due to the ongoing structural transformation, increased price and reduction in the number of conflicts, economic growth, and social progress. There is need-centered development. Centered development. How can I develop myself? How can I develop the 10 people under my care? How can we develop Alsa, the people in Alsa? How can we develop them? People-centered development. As much as government are developing the economy, they're developing our countries, people-centered development is key. Gender equality, youth empowerment, changing global context, such as increased globalization and ICT revolution. We must embrace globalization. We must embrace the ICT revolution. We must, I'm happy with this virtual summit. We don't need to come together physically to do it, and we are reaching out. The world is hearing us. So we must utilize the platforms, the social media platforms, the virtual platforms to spread the gospel of Agenda 2063. There is need for increased unity of Africa, which makes it a global power to be reckoned with and capable of rallying support around its own common agenda and emerging development and investment opportunities, areas such as agribusiness, health, education, as well as the value addition in African commodities. Now we're going to look at the 8 key areas of the agenda. The 8 key areas of the agenda. This agenda has 8 key areas that they are focusing on, or they want to focus on. And in our carrying this message all over the place, we must have these 8 areas in mind. And our message must be centered around these 8 key areas: African identity and renaissance. Many times we hear that many people, when you go out outside the country, outside your country to these more developed countries, and you mention maybe a Nigerian, a Cameroonian, a Zambian, you're just African, there's this look on their face. There's this look on their face. Can we change Africa's identity? It starts with me. It starts with you. We can change Africa's identity by our character, by our disposition, by the way we do things, by the way we are spreading this message, by the way in our tens of thousands, in our hundreds, in our 50s, in our 20s, we can change the narrative. We can change the narrative. Now, the struggle against contamination of people still under colonial rule, integration agenda for peace and security, democratic governance, determining Africa's destiny. We are holding our destiny with our hands. The destiny of Africa is on our hands. We must do our part. We can reshape what Africa is known for. We can change the narrative. We can cause the new normal to happen. Africa's place in the world. We can make Africa to be in the topmost place of the world, that other people, other countries can look up to us and say, wow, is this Africa? Are you sure this person is an African? So we must understand these key areas because it will help us in pushing the agenda forward. Please, are you understanding what I'm saying? Can I hear a response?
Yes, Mama. Yeah, understanding.
Yes, please.
Okay. How can Alsa implement the Agenda 2063? This is the core of my talk. This is the core of my presentation. It's a heartbeat it's a burden for me. So I looked at it like beyond this Agenda 2063, we want to place Africa sense of the agenda, the reason and all that. What can we as an association do to implement the agenda? I wrote one that as an association, we must utilize the information technology medium to spread the message of the agenda. We are moving to 2022. We must dedicate all our social media platforms to this message. It's a week, even if it's daily, that's something about this message we must put. People will be wondering, what is this agenda? It should be a hashtag for us. It should be a hashtag for us. For everything we do, anything we write, under it, we must put a hashtag Agenda 2063. That's this awareness we should create that people will wonder, what is Agenda 2063? Like I earlier told you that when I was given this topic, I went around to ask people, have you heard about agenda? Many people, 98% didn't know about it. So for our agenda for 2022, Agenda 2063 should be featured in all our social media platforms, in all our, anything we are doing. Agenda 2063 should be a hashtag. We should lay emphasis on it. We should just make reference to it, whether it follows what we are saying or not, under its hashtag Agenda 2063. Let people begin to ask, what is Agenda 2063? What is it with Alsa that they're always talking about Agenda 2063? Anything we write, hashtag Agenda 2063, under it, above it, we can just put hashtag Agenda 2063. It will awaken that consciousness of that something about Agenda 2063. Can I look out for it? When I shared the invite of this meeting, somebody came and said, we are in 2021, you're talking about 2063, and the person was laughing. I paused for a while and I was wondering, like, that means many people are not even thinking of the future. Many people even don't understand why it's called Agenda 2063. Many people don't even understand the 50-year plan. So we must spread the message. I also stated that we must understand that the 50-year period is short to achieve the enormous goals. The goals are enormous. The message is deep. The essence is much. How do we put Africa on the limelight? In my 50 years, the long period, no, it is short. Each day counts. So we must utilize our platform as an association and begin to become activists, begin to become advocates of Agenda 2063. We must therefore arise and create a model to spread this message of transformation across Africa as soon as possible. Do we need to create pamphlets? Do we need to create newsletters? Do we need to just talk about it? Let's send it across law faculties across Africa. All law faculty of each university should understand Agenda 2063. We need to expand the membership. We need to expand the membership. That means if we expand the membership, the message is spread easily. We must be able to have representatives from each faculty of law of each university in our different countries. So in spreading this message, it's easier for us because we have foot soldiers. So we have to just find a way to create a model to spread this message. Is it by using people, using the internet, using newsletters, using whatever we need to do? We can organize essay competition, whatever, just to ensure that people understand the agenda. We must engage the students who are the millennials. The millennials are the young people with energy. The millennials are the ones driving organizations as of today. The millennials are the ones driving key business organizations. Young people, you and I, we have the energy, we have the enthusiasm, we have all it takes, the resilience, we have the power to speak, we have the power to spread the message. So we must engage the students. Sorry. So we must engage the students. They have the vibe, they have the power, they have the energy to drive home this message and change the narrative as desired. So we must find a way to make this agenda sound like a national pledge or an anthem. People must know what the agenda is all about. It's more like singing your national anthem. It's more like students. We have to find a way to reach out to our lawmakers. We have to find a way to reach out to our educational sector ministers, the university commission. We have to find a way. This agenda has to be factored into curriculum. Civic education in secondary school, they need to know about Agenda 2063. Government studies in secondary school, they need to know about this. How we need to think of how to spread this message. We have to find a way so that this agenda is our Africa of our dream. So that children will begin to know about Agenda 2063. Adults will begin to know about Agenda 2063. So we need to find a way. We need to find, do we need to compose a song? Do we need to do something? Do we need to have a catchy phrase that people, when people hear it, say, these people have come with Agenda 2063. You know, it needs to sound like our national pledge. Why I use national pledge or anthem, these are things that even a 5-year-old can recite. It has to be the heart of Lord, but we are driving the cause. We are championing the message. So it has to start with our law students across Africa. So many of them are not even aware of the agenda, which ought not to be. Which ought not to be. So we have to just think, what can we do this? Is a great task. How do we ensure that a year one student of faculty of law in any faculty in Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, Zambia, Rwanda, all of them can say of a truth, I know Agenda 2063, they will so know it that they can sing it. So we have to think. Action points. We must develop implementation mechanisms. And in all our programs that we're going to do in 2022, we must ensure we discuss the agenda in bits. Let us break it down. Let us look at the key points. Let's take it one at a time. In all our programs in 2022, we need to include it. Even if it's a 10-minute talk, a 5-minute talk for all programs of Alsa. That way we'll drive it home so that there'll be a clearer understanding. Now, we have to develop monitoring and evaluation system. As much as we are sending this message across to our representatives across Africa, we must have a way to monitor and evaluate it. How far are they doing? How far have they gone? Is the message resounding? Are people getting used to it? So beyond sending out the message, we must monitor and evaluate. So we must put in place a monitoring and evaluation system. We must make use of our leaders in different countries. We must reach out to them to see what they are doing in disseminating the message of the agenda. We must develop strategic framework. Let's speak to senior lawyers in our countries, senior lawyers that can spread the message. We'll tell them about Agenda 2063. They can talk about it in their websites, in their law firm websites. They can talk about it in forums, lawyers forums, international and locally. So we can permeate, we can find a way to talk to our senior colleagues, to tell them about the need for us to understand Agenda 2063. In every lawyers forum program, this agenda should be talked about. That is the way we can retain it. That's the way we can know it. That's the way we can make more impact. So we have to develop strategic framework. Let's look at the big wigs. Let's look at the people that can influence. They call them influencers, lawyers who people listen to. Let's talk to them about Agenda 2063. It works. It works. It will work. We must be intentional. We must be intentional. We must be intentional. We must be intentional. We must be pragmatic. We must be focused. We must be resilient. You're saying it. People are saying, please, can you keep quiet? Keep saying it. People are saying, Madam, it's too much. Keep saying it. What is this Agenda 2063? Keep saying it. You're making noise. Keep saying it. So you have to be resilient. You have to be dogged. We have to be determined that we can change the African story. So we must be determined that it's possible that Alsa can be in the lead, can be in the forefront of spreading the message of Agenda 2063. In concluding, that we must know that Agenda 2063 is a call to action to all segments of African society to work together to build a common future and destiny based on the AU vision. The guiding principle of the agenda is continuity of action. We have to continue. It's not what will end with this summit. It has to be continuous. Continuity of action, continuity of action, continuity of meetings, continuity of outreaches, yes, continuity of conventions, continuity of meetings. It has to be continuous, drawing appropriate lessons and building what has worked in the past. The agenda is a new phase, is a new normal in the effort by Africans to catalyze development of the continent and strengthen Africa integration and unity. Let us play our own role. All hands must be on deck. I must do my own part. You must do your own part. Alsa must do its own part. Let us rise to this great call. Let us rise to this great call. Let us spread this message with passion. Let us spread this message with enthusiasm. Let us spread this message with happiness. Let's wear this message the cloth. Let us spread it all over. Agenda 2063 will come and will go. But the question is, did you help? What did you do to ensure that people understood this message? What are you doing? What it will be counted for you that at a point in your life as a law student, as an African citizen, you did something for Africa. Beyond people knowing what you're doing, start from within. Start in your neighborhood. Start in your environment. You don't need all the accolades. You are doing it for yourself. You are doing it for Africa. You are doing it for Alsa. You are doing it as a citizen of Africa. I know that we have a lot we are doing, but we must understand that the Africa we desire starts from us. The picture we want starts from us. Let's create the picture. Let's work in the picture. Let's make the picture a reality. Thank you for your time, for your writing. Thank you. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
Wow. That was a very amazing, insightful presentation there from Messi. We are so grateful for having
you. Thanks to what we discussed. I hope you like that. Thank you.
Yes. So maybe at this juncture, we would like to welcome questions, contributions to what we've just presented. Honestly, I really enjoyed the presentation, and I kept on getting my ears close to my PC, and it was so insightful. So at this point, we would like to take questions and contributions. Then we move on to our second presenter. If he's ready for the day, then we bring the program to an end for this second day section. So please, all questions are welcome.
Hello.
Kennedy? Yes.
Hello. Thank you very
Hi.
much. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy it. Like my mom are talking to me. Did like this, did like that.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. You know, also, we have over 50 law programs we are running now by Alsa. Yes, we work hard to know the way we can include this very topic, as you said, on the program. We have over 50 law programs. At least for now in Africa, I think we are the highest in running law program. But just a certificate program for now. And we are praying that we'll go far by even affiliating with a university, so can be able to run LLB, MLLM, and the LLD, which is PhD in law. Yeah. So that's far the OSA has gone for now. So we still join us, Mr. James, who is director. We'll contact you soon. So we really have to. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I'm grateful.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. You know, he's the core of this association too as well. And he's the main reason why this association keeps on developing day in and day out, and to our cherished members, to us web ambassadors and executives. So, Mr. Kennedy, have a question? Can you please go ahead?
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, allow me to thank you, ma'am, for the great presentation. I've keenly followed you and I've understood your points and well presented at the right time, ma'am. And my question here comes based on the AU stance in the African politics. First and foremost, I would want to put on record that our political leaders, or should I say our representatives, year in and year out, do meet at the African Union Summit and do discuss the challenges that we face as African individual states. And then I believe they also get to offer solutions as to how best they can get to help each member state to develop economically, politically, and these other spheres of development. And then they've been sitting for quite some time now as the AU. And personally, I haven't seen much of their meetings producing fruit in their respective continents, because I still see other dictator leaders still exist in these African states. And then also, my question now comes, how best can we get to reach to the AU so that they can get to implement the Agenda 2063 by not only sitting for meetings, yearly or annual meetings, but also having the meetings that they do discuss and the solutions that they give get implemented, and then we see the Africa that we want to see in the near future. How do we get to influence the decision of our political leaders as they meet annually at the AU? I think that's my question, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. I must commend you for that question. You know, the problem we have in Africa is that most of them just go for these meetings for just mere representation. They discuss it there and it ends there. Because I see no reason why, as important as Agenda 2063, our leaders will not come back to us and find a way to spread the message. Because it's all about personal, for them, it's what are we gaining from it? Is there any financial gain? So what I can say in this respect is that we can write the Secretariat of AU as an association. Sometimes people say, yeah, you write to them, will it make sense? Will they look at it? They will look at it. Because I've seen instances where in one other association, we wrote to ECOWAS and they responded. So as an association, our leaders can come together and put out what we think, and write to the secretariat, and write not just to the secretariat, we write to people in charge. So, and copy the presidents or African leaders we want, but we can write to them as an organization, that the highest organization bringing together African countries. So we can write to them. We can also hold press meetings. As an association, we have that right to come together to hold press conference. Or we can engage the media. One thing that people have done so far to spread their message is engaging the media. It might cost much, but we can do it. Wherein we can have a press conference, have representation from different countries, and we speak our mind. And radio stations, TV stations of different countries can carry it as a news. That way, they will know that some student somewhere, an association somewhere, is worried with a lackadaisical attitude. So I think these are my little suggestions in the way we can reach out to these people. Let's engage the media. Let's do press conferences that will be covered by the media houses. That way, our message will get to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll take a note of.
Okay, please, who guys have a question or any other thing to add, contribution? Do you have any other questions? Yes, so ma'am, I have a query, and it's about, even though you've made it clear in your presentation that the 50-year plan that we've seen is not very long, it's very short though. And when I updated it also on my WhatsApp status, I have a colleague who asks, James, why is the agenda too far? It is why 2063 and not now? So from that question that was posed to me, and me also further directing it to you, even though you said it's not far, it seems to be far, but not far. Can't all of these things be done within the shortest possible time instead of we prolonging? And you made a point that sometimes they visit our leaders, go to some of these meetings just as a mere representation. Can't it be implemented prior to that 2063?
Wow, that's a nice question. It can. It just borders on willpower of our leaders. Willpower leaders. That's what I'm saying, that as an association, we can begin to do things beyond our waiting for our countries, waiting for our presidents, waiting for our leaders. These things can even be achieved in 10 years. But you know that each country has its peculiarities, their problems. It could be leadership, coup d'etat here, change of leadership here, presidential problems here and there. So if peradventure I'm a Nigerian and I'm Nigerian is pushing the message, there could be a problem in Ghana or Cameroon and the message is not being pushed. So that as an association, and we are dealing with students, we are dealing with the millennials. They are the people with the power. We can spread these messages more than our countries are doing. We have what it takes. We have the manpower. We have the voice. So it is not really about the 10 years, 50 years. Even I told you that even beyond the 50 years, we may not have achieved what we want to achieve. The agenda may not have been achieved because most of our countries are more focused in other things. It's all about them. How can we develop as a country, not just as Africa? So we should look beyond our countries and begin to work as an association, because I see association going global. Very soon, countries, not even non-African countries, begin to reach out to us for collaboration. So we have the voice, we have the energy, we have the charismatic, we have the traits to move it forward, we have the power. So we should not look at the 50-year period. For us, we can set an agenda as an association that in the next 5 years, how far? Let us see how far. It's our decision. So I've come to that point that I've started looking upon what the government can do for me, what the country can do for me. I speak what I have to say. I reach out, I speak the message so that people can hear. We can more than the government. Was 2000 year 2000, year 2000. 2000 came, we are in 2021, 21 years. So I feel we should leave whatever the countries, the government are doing, because they're taking their time. And another problem is that there are new government, as maybe this president was there when he was shared, another president comes and feel, what are they saying? So the succession in government is one of those things too that is affecting the agenda. So I think we should look beyond how slow or how far the 2063 is. We should make plans to see what Alsa can do in the next few years to spread the message. Thank you, sir.
Well, oh, thank you so much, Ma. I'm very well pleased with your response. Yes. So actually,
You're
if actually
welcome.
addressed, yeah, if actually address my subsequent question
Thank you.
as to how states will be able to reconcile in terms of conflict of interest, to go beyond state interest and look at it in the African continent perspective. Because if you look at most of these regional blocs, for instance, ECOWAS, we have the EAC, we have like even some African countries intend to be like they are not part of Africa. If you try to look at some Morocco and Egypt, sometimes they try to distinguish themselves. So I think this response have come to clear that doubt that I have. They need to be more education, more awareness as to what the agenda means, because there are instances where some of these regional blocks, for instance, ECOWAS, one provision may conflict with some of this agenda that you are talking about in terms of state priority and the continent priorities. So I'm very much pleased with your response. Thank you so much. So Audrey, please, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, great. Thank you very much for the presentation, ma'am. I've really learned a lot, and it's more of a question and a suggestion to you and how we can go about it. So I really like what you said about also playing a major role in ensuring that people know more about Agenda 2063. And I also like what you said about countries taking it upon themselves to do the most in their own country. There also spans across a lot of African countries. I'm from Ghana, and I'm sure there are other as a whole. Is it possible for us in what Ghana here, our government comes up with maybe a budget or a plan for the year every at the beginning of every year, and it's reviewed in mid-year or so? Is it possible to play a role to ensure that when the governments come up with these policies that they intend to implement in the next year, there are bits and there are bits of Agenda 2063 inside. There's a conscious effort to ensure that they are moving their country towards attaining that agenda. Is it possible for us to do something like that? Thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you, Hannah. I enjoyed your presentation yesterday. It was awesome. I think that we need to go back to the drawing board to see what we can do. We can start as watchdog, but we need to find a way to really make our voices to be heard. You can be talking, but people are not listening. So we must be able to go back to the drawing board and see what area, how can we penetrate? How can our voices be heard? Do we need to move to the legislature? Do we need to go to the executive, depending on the structure in each person's country? So I think that way, or we need to join the social society. So we need to just find a way around it, because what happens in Ghana might not be what happens in Nigeria, might not be what happens in Cameroon. So in our different countries, we need to find a way to permeate into the realm of power. We need to go through the executive arm, the legislative arm, the judiciary. How do we make our voices heard? So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and find a way around it so that we can talk to our representatives in each country and give them ideas on how to, push that message across the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Well noted.
Thank you.
Okay, please, are there any further questions or contributions for this first section? But Madam, you said something, and it is really at Alsa's heart that you should always be hashtagging, social media posts. Even if people are backlashing us, we should continue doing the hashtag of Alsa 2063, Agenda 2063. I think that one, even from now, we start doing that. You start with the hashtag on all our social media platforms. And as and when we need your assistance on the way forward, we always consult you for more knowledge on this matter. Yes, please, are there any further questions from our participants? And I'd also like to state that we are live on Facebook. People are watching us from Facebook too as well. And from here, it is going to be posted on our YouTube page for people who are unable to join to also watch from there. Yes, so in the absence of any further questions, I'll give the floor back to our great presenter, Lawyer Mercy, to give us her final remarks. Okay, then we bring it to an end. Thank you.
I am very, very grateful for this great opportunity. I thank everyone here and other people watching in different platforms. I think our desire starts from us. Let's begin to change the narrative in our local environment. Let's begin to change the narrative in our families. Let's begin to change the narrative in our schools, in our workplaces and organizations. Whatever we desire starts from within. So let us not say we need to. I need to first before we need to. So Agenda 2063 has come to say, I am a preacher of Agenda 2063, and I also want to join you. I want to plead with you. I want to call you into the fold to say, let us preach this message together. And I know that beyond preaching the message, we begin to act the action. We begin to do those things that the message is all about, that the message is, talking about. So friends, believe in Africa, believe in yourself. Tell yourself that Africa can be in that limelight. I can push Africa to that limelight. You can push Africa to that limelight. Alsa can push Africa to that limelight. I'm very grateful. Be the best you can ever be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lawyer. And we are most grateful. I'm ready to become a preacher. I'm ready, ever ready to join the disciples of this agenda, And thank you so much. Then I think this will be the end for today's section.
Thank you.
Yes, we are supposed to. Okay. Somebody saying something? Yeah, Pascal. Pascal, you want to say something?